One of the things for real estate is to react well under pressure because we're dealing with people's emotions. But I think the people that match emotions have the hardest time in this business because they want to be best friends with their clients. They want to make sure everybody's happy all the time. And sometimes you got to tell people it's not going to work out.
There's a lot of arrogance. There's a lot of times we have people that come into our industry that think, I'm going to rewrite this industry. You know what? Come with your best ideas. Come with your A game. I think that's great. But if you really think that you're going to do it completely differently, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I'd like to say I'm proud of you, Ben. You got through this without calling Shannon old.
I know. Thank you. And I do appreciate that.
This is one on longevity.
Oh my God.
So good job, Ben.
Real estate has long been the revolving door of professionals. What's the secret sauce to having longevity in a career that can be pretty volatile? To hear our thoughts and more, stay tuned to this episode of The Den. The Den, powered by the Lions Group, a show that explores trending topics in real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. We're a small team of professionals with over $400 million in sales and nearly 2,000 successful transactions. You're listening to time-tested experts and industry leaders. Here's a refreshing look at real estate happenings and more. Welcome to The Den. Whether you're in the real estate sales space or you're in any career that revolves around sales, it can be volatile. It can be difficult. And we want to look at what creates longevity with realtors, but also other professionals in other industries that involve sales. I think it's a very, very fair question, something worth looking into. And so maybe we can kick off the question of, have you ever looked at someone in an industry like this and went, wow, I don't know how they do it. Like, how do they survive in an industry that is so volatile that, you know, I wouldn't want to be in that at all, in that space at all. Have you ever looked at someone and said, that's pretty incredible that they do what they do? And how do they do it? Aspen, have you looked at someone like that and went, or before you got into this career, did you go?
Never.
Yeah. Why does it seem so easy for some people to buy and sell real estate? It's almost like they hit the jackpot over and over again. What if I told you anyone can have those same results? But there's a secret recipe to do just that. We're the Lions Group, the go-to source for all your real estate needs. Located in northern New Mexico and southwest Colorado, we pride ourselves in creating seamless and successful transactions for our clients. We take the time to share the secret recipe and give you an advantage in today's market. At the Lions Group, we make it a priority to truly understand your needs. That's why we offer private consultations just so we can dig deep. Based on that consultation, we do the heavy lifting by developing a strategy specific to your situation. Ready to find out how we can help you achieve your real estate dreams? Go to sjcbroker.com to see our informational video series for buyers and sellers, or check out our links in the show notes below to schedule a private consultation with any one of our partners. Did it even cross your mind, like,
no,
this is going to be so volatile? Like,
no, I was coming from wedding photography. I only worked every weekends in the summer, you know, and then I would be running out of money by the end of the year, and I would do senior pictures, you know,
yeah.
So no, but I've always kind of had oddball jobs, owned yoga studios. So I was, especially with the wedding photography, I think it really prepared me for the droughts that real estate has. It doesn't matter how busy you are. There's going to be times where you don't sell anything. It doesn't matter if you're the number one realtor. There's going to probably be a month where you don't sell something. It's just save.
Or a lot of months.
Yeah, last year, I think it was 3 months that I didn't close anything, which was fine, but
yeah,
you got to be prepared for that because it does happen, even if it's a really busy market.
Yeah, because you could be doing everything right.
Mm-hmm.
And you were working your tail feathers off, and here you go. You know, you get a dry spell.
Yeah, and then December was super busy. So it was just and then pick back up. So.
Yeah. Shannon, what are some of the thoughts that were you scared to get into this business?
Yes.
Yeah, very much so, right?
Yeah.
When I remember when my wife and I got married, she was like, so when do you get paid again? I'm like, I don't know. Did you have those same thoughts getting in?
Yeah.
So walk us through that.
So when I entered the field, I wasn't expecting to be in real estate. And we've talked about that before. I was going to school for something else, and I just happened to get a job at a real estate office. And so watching other realtors at that time, it was kind of like I had a little bit of experience because I'd worked at a dealership before, a car dealership. So I had always been afraid of those kind of jobs, afraid of a kind of a job that was commission-based only, where you're basically an independent contractor. You still have bills, not just your personal bills, but you have work bills. You got to pay for your desk space and your advertising and things like that, whether you make money or not. So when I first got into it, I looked at those people and just thought, man, that's, you got to really know what you're doing and really be committed to your job to make a job like this work. And I never thought that would be something I would do. And when I did finally make the transition and I got a license, I still held other jobs that brought in income because I was young. What was I, 25 or something?
No, we're
maybe?
like 16 or so.
Probably, yeah. I was 8. I'm way younger than I look. No, so I was younger anyway. And a lot of the ladies, when ladies get into this business, they are, they're married and they've got somebody taking care of them, and they come into this business and it's something they can build up. I didn't have that. I was single. I was young. I didn't even have assets. I had nothing. I didn't have a bank account. So it was very scary for me. And I did look at those people that had 30, 40 years in the business and was extremely impressed. It takes a lot.
Yeah. Well, and when you got in, feet picks weren't a thing. Like
no, we couldn't stay at home and make extra money on those kind of, avenues. We couldn't do that. You actually had to go get another job if you wanted
Paul
money.
Would make a killing on feet picks.
I don't know about that.
Keep those dogs put away.
Yeah.
That's right.
Look like the Hobbit over there.
Mine come out once a year.
Oh my gosh. Well, maybe you can look at it from a different standpoint is, it's been a revolving door. You see people get into the business and then they get out. What are some of the traits of the people that are not successful in this business? Paul, have you kind of seen a theme of people that, are they doing the same type of thing, or do they not have the right personality for it? Or
Well, I mean, so if I was going to go back to that first question, I'm the only one here that had a long career in a 9-to-5 job with a steady paycheck. And it is kind of scary to go in and say, hopefully I make some money, because I had 3 kids. My wife was staying home with the kids at the time, and I decided, I'm not going to have anything guaranteed, and then you just have to make it. So I think for that second question, what does it take to make it in this business is belief in yourself. You have to be able to be self-motivated to, not be knocked out completely when you get knocked down. Get up quickly, brush yourself off, and keep on going. Because this business knocks you down, I think, more than it picks you up.
Definitely.
it can, for sure. Yeah. So you were more of like burn the boats type of guy. So
yeah, that's what you had that thing. I cashed in my 401k. I went to zero, and I'm still going to zero quite a bit, but went to zero in the bank accounts, had no way out, just had to make it happen.
That's what I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's effective, isn't it?
I mean, there's no way out. There's no safety net. There's no fallback.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get scared there and don't push through that to get to success. They say, well, I've got to go back to, security, because that's what we don't have. People say we wake up every morning unemployed. That's pretty true.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like the insecurity of not knowing when the next call's coming from, the next check, the next opportunity. We get a deal that we go all the way through. We get to the point where we're like, yeah, we can spend that money, or we know that's coming in, and then the wheels fall off the deal and that money doesn't come in. And I think the revolving door, I think, has a lot to do with that, insecurity and finances.
How do you find security in a industry that's so insecure? Like there's just like Paul was saying, you get all the way, you've done everything right. You get all the way to the closing table, the deal falls apart, and you can't count the chickens before they hatch, right? So you're trying not to spend that money, but boy, you got bills stacking up and things like that. How do you find security and stability in an industry like this? And I'm not just thinking about us as realtors, I'm also thinking about a chiropractor has to go build their business. An attorney has to build their business. It's all kind of sales to some degree. We certainly are on the front lines with a few of the others. Sales is the thing in real estate, but how do you create stability in an industry like this?
I think the most important thing is having the willingness to just keep grinding it out. I think it's really important that you have to build relationships. And it's not just with your customers, not just with your clients, because your clients are going to be clients for life. You have to treat them well, and you have to really take into consideration what they want and meet their needs, and they will keep coming back and they will keep referring to you. But you also have to build, relationships with, where do I need help at? Your vendors, your title company, your lenders, there's all these people in here, you have to keep good, strong relationships, because those people are all kind of in your pot helping you keep things moving forward. And the more alliances you have, and the more people you have treated well and that treat you well and you have respect for and they have respect back for you, the more likely you are of getting things done, the more likely you are of, getting repeat business, the more likely you are of getting referrals. So I think also just being willing to grind it out. It's very easy in a job where you don't have a boss that expects you to show up from 8 to 5. It's very easy to say, well, I don't have anything going on today, so I'm going to just do this or that. Those days can get more and more and more as you're not doing stuff. Mm-hmm. So it takes grinding it out. It takes showing up every day, and whether you have something to do or not, or even if you say, I don't have anything to do today, or I don't have a lot on my schedule, why don't you go touch on some of those contacts that you have? A perfect example, I went to lunch with a old customer of mine yesterday. And while we were there, we ran into a friend of hers who said, oh, this is my realtor. Oh, I was thinking of selling my house. Now I have a new contact. And I'll be meeting with her later on in the week. So it's also just about, you may not always be looking for business, but always be nurturing your relationships, nurturing your contacts, taking care of people that take care of you, and just keep grinding it out, because it will keep coming full circle back to you.
Motion creates opportunity.
It does. Just keep on going.
Yeah. And the universe is wild how if you just start moving forward with motion, all of a sudden all these things, oh, I didn't realize this, and this person calls, and this, that, and the other. And none of it happens if you're just sitting and not doing anything.
Correct.
Which is weird, really weird.
I think, there's a good example of it, or a metaphor of planting seeds. Every conversation, every thing that you do. I mean, it's not always just calling somebody and asking if they want to buy or sell a house.
Right.
Sometimes it's just making the relationships, talking to people, getting in the community, becoming the expert in your field. Those things that aren't necessarily closing. It's not, we're sales. We're not always be closing, but we're always working on the craft. Mm-hmm. And I think that, the seeds grow into, clients down the road. And then the other thing is new people don't have repeat business yet. And once you start getting repeat business, it gets a little bit easier because your sphere kind of opens up. They refer you out to people, every 7 years or so. I think that's the average, 7 to 13. People are moving again. So,
and a closed mouth doesn't get fed. You have to tell people that you're a realtor. You have to put yourself out there. And I think you have to get over the embarrassment of putting yourself out there. You have to be embarrassed to get to the next step. You have to just power through it. And for lack of a better term, you have to hustle your way through it. But also, I think if you're going to come into an entrepreneur space, you need to be that entrepreneur. You need to have multiple streams of income. You need to be investing in different things. I don't think you can just rely on anybody. I don't think anyone should just rely on one thing, including a 9-to-5 job, because you can lose that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I've always been a big proponent of, if you're going to get that hustle mindset, which I hate that term, but if you really, that's what it is. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and you don't want to work a 9-to-5 job, well, then you better be prepared to work 24 hours a day.
Yeah, because a 9-to-5 is a false sense of security to some degree.
And I know I've set more hours and I've been more structured, but I've been pretty vocal. The first 2 years, if you called me at midnight, I was answering my phone at midnight and I was working my butt off. And you have to do that at the beginning. I think a lot of realtors come in and they think they're just going to get deals. And that might happen for some people. I had some family deals that I had, and some people might not have that. So there's going to be different opportunities for different people. But if you are just sitting there expecting work to come to you, you're never going to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You might get a stray deal every once in a while. You can't live off that.
So that begs a question of, is there a certain type of personality type?
Yes.
I mean, do you have to be a type A? Do you have to be an extrovert?
No, I'm not an extrovert. I'm actually pretty introverted. And then my husband is very extroverted. He's extremely smart. He could never be an entrepreneur. He couldn't. And I even I'm like, well, he's a firefighter. I'm like, why don't you have like another job? Why couldn't, and he literally, granted, he's almost 40 and he's like, I could like mow lawns or something. I'm like, oh my God, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, it's just like his mind doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to, and I was kind of just talking to him about this, we were just saying this morning, like, I like being able to be creative in my job. Okay, this isn't working, so I'm going to do this instead. And this isn't working, let's do this. I remember I was working at a dentist office and I was super young. I was 18 and we had these office meetings. I'm like, well, what if we tried this? And it was not welcome or received.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not in business anymore. And I really do think it's not just real estate and sales. You should always be trying out different things. You don't know what's going to work.
Right.
And I think you can kind of get, if you're not the owner or manager, you can get a little bit stifled with your creativity. In that job.
Yeah. And I think the personality thing really comes into play because for Bryson in particular, like his personality, he's wonderful at his craft at being a firefighter.
He's a workhorse.
And he's a workhorse.
Very
the guy
smart.
Works and he's super smart, very extroverted. I mean, he would have all of, like, if you looked at a piece of paper and said, yep, check.
Much better than me. Yeah.
He's the contender for a successful real estate agent. But the reality is he doesn't, that his personality doesn't fit
You're
reality.
You're going to call him at, 8 p.m. on a Friday? Absolutely not.
Yeah. He's like, I'll talk to you Monday.
Which, he leaves work at work. He might have the occasional phone call, but he's not checking his phone on the weekends for work.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things for real estate is to be able to handle, to react well under pressure, to be able to handle a crisis. Because we're dealing with people's emotions. We can't be, and we've talked about this on numerous podcasts, but I think the people that match emotions have the hardest time in this business because they want to be best friends with their clients. They want to make sure everybody's happy all the time. And sometimes you got to tell people it's not going to work out. And if you can,
that's a lot of energy to match someone's energy and then stay there.
I don't have the energy to match my own family. I just,
especially if you have someone high wired, and
they're a roller coaster all the time. And if you get in, if you try to match everybody's energy, I mean, every phone call, you got to change who you are.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So I think if you can just be even keeled when something's, when it's fallen off the rails, just go, there'll be another deal.
Yeah.
We'll find you another house. There'll be another buyer for your house. Those types of things.
Yep.
I think that's an important one.
So what do you see as like the traits that people exhibit that do not make it, that are in and out the revolving door? What do you see?
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt.
They're putting themselves down. I can't do this. I can't. Yes, you can. I hate cold calling, but I know I can do it. You can do anything. You can make it work. You can try out different things. And I think a lot of people that aren't successful in it, it's because they're just not willing to keep going whenever you get 100 no's. You're going to get more no's than yeses.
So self-doubt.
Exactly. And I think it's the people that compare themselves to other successful people already. Well, they're doing so much better than me. Why can't I do? I'm a failure. I think that goes into self-doubt, but work on yourself and your own business.
And shift your mindset because I look at someone, Ben. I want to work with Ben because I want to know what he does. I'm not over here. Am I doing what Ben's doing? No. My numbers are not the same and I can't expect them to be the same if I'm not going to put in the work and the time and emulate that. And I think you're in it. It's like you catch more, bees with honey. I would rather pick Ben's brain or, anyone. I've called every realtor in town. Whenever I was first getting started, I traded camera work for real estate advice. You have to be willing to be creative and don't compare, but emulate.
That's a great point.
That's a good point. Yeah. And humble yourself too.
Yeah.
If you're just starting out, don't go out and be boastful and look what I did. I remember I was teaching the orientation and I had somebody come up to me and go, I have 12 deals under contract right now. If I keep this going, I'm going to, end up selling 15 million and all this kind of stuff. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I've never done that. So if you can do that, that's great. That poor person didn't sell another house that year.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's one of those, go do the day-to-day work. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah. And comparison is, and I just told my daughters this, comparison is the thief of joy. Like, cause you could be doing some really great things at the level that you're at. And then you look up and you try to compare with what someone else is doing, and all of a sudden you feel down about yourself. And that is not a productive mindset to have. There is something to be said for putting your head down and grinding and being thankful and grateful for what you're doing and accomplishing. And I think that plays into, the mindset that you
I totally agree. Yeah. It's like, that's one thing I'm really happy me and Bryson both do not have. We do not have a keeping up with the Joneses mentality. If it all goes south and we move into one of our rentals, that's completely fine because at least we tried. I think whenever people start comparing, you're who you surround yourself with. If you're surrounded by kind, hardworking, uplifting people, you're going to have those traits as well. So I've never really understood the being jealous of someone because they're doing well.
And I have to be honest, though, I've struggled with self-worth.
Really?
Self-worth for me has been something that I've had to work through over the years. And I don't know if it was just something that I was instilled with or something that happened when I was younger or whatever, but I've always had to fight through no, I am worthy of this. I have put in the work. I have put in the time because that little voice creeps up. So, no matter what stage you're at, that voice can creep in pretty quickly and derail you if you listen to it. I mean, that's one of those things.
I think this is where how I grew up was just, my parents were so you can do anything you want. And I have that so heavily instilled in my mind. This is the stupidest thing, but I have it in my head, if the end of the world came and had to do heart surgery, I might mess up a few times, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yep.
Right. That's right.
I just think you can figure out anything,
Yeah.
So don't, and if you work hard, you do deserve what you get.
Absolutely.
And even if you fail, that's okay. You're going to pick yourself up and you're going to do it again. It's okay.
Well, and people seeing failure as that I can't fail. No, that's part of the process. The moment you accept that is part of the process, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. It's not the end. It's just the next step. It's where you shift. It's where you make the changes.
Yeah. It's not a fail. It's that didn't work. Let's try this now. Maybe this will work differently.
What are some of the traits you've seen, Shannon, of realtors or anybody in sales that just, you're like, ooh, that's not going to work. And then inevitably it doesn't.
I would say there's a lot of arrogance. There's a lot of times we have people that come into our industry that think, I'm going to rewrite this industry. You know what? Come with your best ideas. Come with your A game. I think that's great. But if you really think that you're going to do it completely differently, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Look at the people that are successful. Like you said, emulate that, If you think you're going to, shake things up and change it around and make it completely different, and really show everybody how it's done, you're probably not going to be incredibly successful. I would say that, you come with your best ideas and obviously do the best job that you can. But I think that, when you think that you know better than the professionals or the people that have done it for 20, 30, 40 years, you probably are coming in a little bit handicapped in that area because you're probably going to be the one making the biggest mistake.
Yeah, because you're not getting to pick their brain.
Yeah.
Because if you're coming in saying, I'm better than you, I know more than you, and they've been doing it for 20, 30 years, guess who they're probably not going to want to help?
Exactly. Exactly.
Maybe a better person than me would.
Yeah.
Right. but that's exactly what my point is. That's exactly my point. So when you come in with, I think arrogance really can hold a lot of people back. A lot of people fail because they think that they're above the industry they're entering.
Yeah.
I think it's initially attractive to people, but I think that passes
in the long run.
Yeah. It's a job pretty quick.
Yeah.
The glamour kind of goes away. You said one thing when I first started was about capacity. And I think a lot of people get bogged down. They say, new people, you say, how's it going? I'm super busy. Oh yeah. How many deals you got going? One, but it's taking up all my time.
Do you remember the first time you got 2 deals in a month? How busy did you feel?
Yeah.
The first time, I remember whenever I had 2 deals going at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you never know it, but he wouldn't bring me on until he got to where he couldn't handle the work anymore. Yeah. And his capacity was huge and mine was nothing. So I got 2 or 3 deals going at the same time going, I don't know how I'm ever going to do this. So I think people get, if they have a little bit of success, it turns into, overwhelming real quick. And then your capacity goes, it does a lot of this at the beginning. And then eventually it gets pretty big.
But the most successful people, I think, are the ones that are more humble and say, how do I manage this? How do I manage the busy schedule? How do I manage the ups and downs? How do I manage these personalities? How do I, like you said,
I need help.
Yeah. When you're
Yeah.
drawing on those people who already understand that, your chances of success just rise. They just go up so much as opposed to the guy who already knows everything.
Yeah.
Because if you know it all,
Then you can't be taught anything.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's
and that's
right.
what-
There's nothing to learn.
That's what I love about being able to look up to the people that have been doing it before you. And maybe you can add your own flair to it or change some things or, create a new path. Wonderful. You can look to the people that aren't there yet, but they have these great ideas and
Right.
awesome energy, and you can grab inspiration from them.
Right.
You can look at your peers and say, what are you doing that is successful right now? How would you tackle this problem?
Mhm.
And being able to look at all those different perspectives can really
Because
give you
everybody
those
brings
tools.
something to the table. Even these new people that enter our industry, like I say, they've got great
ideas.
and they've got probably better technology, and they're younger. They know maybe more about pop culture and things like that we may not know about. There's stuff we can learn from them.
Yeah. Yep.
I told someone a long time ago. I don't remember what the context of the topic was, but I said, I'm a good enough broker to know what I don't know. I know when I'm out of my league. I know when I need to call for help. I know when I need to say, let me call my partner on that because I don't think I'm the best person for this job. I'm a good enough broker, and that's where we all should be. We should all be good enough to know when we need help, when we need to share our help that we have.
Being aware.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. I love this because, again, whether you're in real estate sales, whether you're a chiropractor trying to get more business, whether you're in automobile sales or whatever it is, sales is always a big component of that. And these are just some of the thoughts that we have, what we've noticed over the years. And I feel like we've passed the stage of being a part of the revolving door, so we can speak on this a bit. And I think it's insightful to be able to say, you know what, we don't know all the answers, but it's great to look across the table and look at people that are coming up and look for inspiration and thoughts. So to round out this conversation, Aspen, I'm going to start with you. Speed round. What are the top traits you feel a successful realtor that has longevity must have?
I think you have to have humility and you have to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
I think as long as you are able to, like Shannon said, put your ego aside and get more knowledge from people that know more than you, you're going to do fine. And just keep going because a few days break turns into a week, turns into a month. And then it's hard to get it going again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So H&H, huh?
Yep.
Humility and hustle.
Yeah, I like that.
Paul Berry?
I'd like to say I'm proud of you, Ben. You got through this whole podcast without calling Shannon old.
I know. Thank you. And I do appreciate that.
This is one on longevity.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So good job, Ben.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think being able to deal with pressure, react well under pressure, I think that's important because this, like I said before, this is a tough job and you're dealing with emotions. So that would be my number one trait.
I like that. I like that a lot. Shannon?
I would just say the ability to just keep grinding, even when things are hard. Just keep shifting gears, finding new ways, reaching out to different people. Just humility. Just be a little bit humble and call on those other people that probably know a little bit more than you.
Yeah, I like that. I have 3. I think the first and foremost thing is know that you're worthy. Have that self-worth that you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to and that you go after, right? I'm going to do this. Not I want to do this. I am doing it and I'm going to do it. That's number 1. I think number 2 is having what Paul said, emotional intelligence is huge in this business, in your relationships in your life, to be a good father, a friend, whatever it is. I have to have some emotional intelligence in my life. And I think that's key. But I think the biggest thing is what you two had said, that you keep going. I call that grit. No matter what comes in your way, it's part of the process. And the process ultimately leads to the success that you're wanting and the vision that you want for your life. So those would be the big 3 for me. And I hope that those are some great takeaways for our audience. Because, usually we wear, full length shirts and stuff to hide all the bruises and the scrapes and scars from this business. It's been pretty brutal to go through real estate over the years with the ups and downs. But you know what? We're here and we're smiling and we're enjoying it and we're taking it one step at a time. And that's the part of the process that is, at some point you savor it and you go, this is why I'm here. So thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. Great conversation. I appreciate everyone sharing some insight on that. And if you like our episodes, go to our YouTube channel and like and subscribe. We got great content coming out all of the time. Check out our newsletter. Fantastic information coming out weekly. Like and subscribe to our Facebook because we have great information going out to all channels. If you would like to schedule a consultation with any one of us here at the Lions Group, go to sjcbroker.com. You can contact any one of us and we can help you with an advantage in today's market, whether you're buying or selling, commercial or residential. We're happy to sit down, have a conversation, and see what we can do to help. So thank you for listening to this episode. Until next time, we'll see you then. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den, powered by the Lions Group. Hit the subscribe button to keep informed and check the show notes below for direct links to our buyer and seller video series. The buyer and seller video series can give you an inside track on taking the right steps in real estate. If you'd like to learn more about the Lions Group or to schedule a consultation, go to sjcbroker.com. Complex markets require complex strategies. The Lions Group can give you a true advantage in any market. Whether you're buying or selling, residential or commercial, contact us directly at sjcbroker.com. We're time-tested experts with a client-first approach, and we'll see you next time in The Den.